10 years have passed. It's good to be back in the Falkland Islands, so I'm very thankful to be back. I was the person that arranged the international observation team. There were a total of 8 of us that came from New Zealand, Mexico, Uruguay, Brazil, and obviously the United States. And so my role was from start to end to onboard the observers, to come and watch the process, to come review all the actions that have been taken before the referendum process to make sure they comply with some basic international rules, and then actually follow the process itself, the 2-day vote, which took place between the 10th and 11th of March, 10 years ago in 2013. They started in 2012. They consulted with people about what the question should look like, when the vote should take place, where people would be voting, and they really thought also a heck of a lot about, how do we make sure as many people possible come out to vote. And so you had, several, polling stations, which are here in Port Stanley. This is where most of the population lives. But then you also had roving polling stations. You had vehicles that went out to make sure you went to remote communities and people were allowed and given the opportunity to vote. And then you had one airplane that went to the even more remote sides of the islands, and there people were allowed to vote. So I think that in itself was also very important. So a lot of it is, communicating to people why it is that there's going to be a vote, in this case a referendum, giving them the opportunity to vote, and obviously providing them the resources so that they can vote, whichever way they want. And then other things that you look at the actual day of the vote is to make sure the voters lists are correct, and that people are being marked off after they vote, making sure that ballot boxes aren't being stuffed, that the right, if one ballot goes in, that's the only ballot that goes in, doesn't go out until it gets counted. Speaking about that, it's also counting the ballots, making sure it's done in a transparent way. And of course, also making sure that there's no undue influence, that there is no third party out there, bothering people or encouraging them to vote one way or the other. And, the process we saw, by all means, we think was very fair, transparent, and it speaks volumes about the organizational capacity of the government. That's one. And two, also the will of the people. 99.8% of the population of eligible voters, 1,517 to be exact, voted yes. They want to stay with the UK. You don't see that many places. I've never certainly seen it in my lifetime, before arriving here, and I don't think I'll ever see that ever again. So that was really interesting. Yeah.